Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. All great achievements require time. So, with this quote, I would like to say that this is the right time for you children to achieve something great through these online classes provided by the school. Okay, now, in this video, we are going to learn about active passive voice. So, what is active and passive voice? Do you remember? We have already dealt this in the class already. Yes? So, let us see. I am going to explain about it now. Now, the first thing is verbs and voice. Voice is the form of a verb takes to indicate whether the subject of the verb performs or receives the action. So, here the verbs which are there in a sentence, we have to see whether the action is being done by the subject or the action is being done by the object in a sentence. Okay, so that is what we are going to see mainly in this active and passive voice. So, voice is a form of verb. So, it is going to indicate whether the subject verb is receiving or it is performing the action. That is what we are going to see. So, in this there are two types of voices. One is active voice, the other one is passive voice. So, what is active voice actually? Active voice is used to show that the subject of the sentence is performing or causing the action. It means that the subject is doing the action. Now, some examples are given below. If you look into the examples here, the first example given is LeBron threw the basketball before the buzzer. So here LeBron is the subject in the sentence and threw is the verb in the sentence. That's the action verb. So the LeBron is doing the action and the basketball before the buzzer. So here the subject is doing the action. So this is the active voice sentence. In the next sentence again, LeBron shot the basketball from the free throw line. So here again LeBron is doing the action in the sentence. So this is active voice sentence. In the next sentence we see LeBron scored 3 points. So here again LeBron is scoring the points here. So this is again an active voice sentence. Now let us see what is passive voice. So passive voice is used when the subject is the recipient of the action. So recipient of the action means he is receiving the action. Okay. So the ball. So here the example given is about the ball. The ball was thrown by LeBron. So in the previous slide we saw LeBron was throwing the ball. Now in this slide we are seeing that the ball was thrown by LeBron. So here the ball is the subject of the sentence. So what is the subject, ma'am? Subject is the first part of the sentence. Okay. So here the ball is the subject and thrown is the verb, action word. So here the ball was thrown by the subject. Now the subject in this sentence is not doing the action. He is receiving the action. So this type of sentences are called as passive voice sentences. Okay. So in the second example you can see the basket was shot by LeBron. So here the basket is the subject, was shot is the verb here. So here again this is passive voice sentence. So the subject, the basket, is not doing the action. So whenever the subject is not doing the action, it is passive voice. So next in the next third example you can see the score was made by LeBron. So here again the score is the subject and was made is the action here in this verb in this sentence. So here this is again a passive voice sentence because the subject is not doing the action. So here we will just have a quick recap. So what is active voice? Active voice is when your subject is doing the action, the sentence is called as active voice. And what is passive voice? When the subject is not doing the action, the sentence is called as passive voice. Is that clear till here? Yes? Now let's move on with the next slide. So now let us see what does it matters whether it's active or passive, why it is important. So active voice is more direct and concise. So whenever we are using active voice sentences, it is very clear and it is very concise, means very short terms we are finishing the sentence. Passive voice is usually wordier. So it is something you're going all the way around and explaining about the action which has been taken place. Next, the second point is active voice is like watching LeBron play. So the example given here is about the LeBron, the player, the football, the basketball player. So active voice sentence, we are watching him directly playing there. Passive is like watching gum stuck on the bleachers in the stands. So the people who are standing there, they are standing and watching the game. So when we talk about the people watching them playing there, it is the passive voice sentence. So most of the time we use only active voice sentence. We use passive voice specifically for some reasons in some particular places. Yes. Now, when do you want to use passive voice? Now see, when intentionally trying to hide the subject of the sentence. Now if we don't want to mention the person who has done the action, when we want to avoid the subject who has done the action, at that particular point we use passive voice sentences. For example, a politician might say the mistake was made by someone. So hiding the subjects helps her hide the blame. So here, when intentionally trying to minimize the guilt of the subject, for a cheating boyfriend might say cheating was committed by me. So here we need not say now who has done the, if I say I have done some mistake, so it is sounding very bad. So we want to hide the subject. We don't want to emphasize more on the who has done the action, but the emphasis must go on the object, that who has received that action. Okay, for that particular thing, intentionally when you want to hide the subject who has done the action, at that particular point we are using this passive voice of sentence. When passive voice better emphasizes the main point of the message, such as children were harmed by the drunk driver. So here the children were harmed by, but we want to emphasize that the children were harmed. We don't want to emphasize who has harmed them. So such sentences, when we want to emphasize the objects of the sentence, then we are using the passive form of voice. Yes. So form of passive voice, verbs. So now before we use, what are the rules that we have to follow while using this passive form of voice? So the passive voice requires a double verb and will always consist of a form of verb to be and the past participle, usually the en, ed and t form of another verbs. So we have to, whenever we are using passive voice, we have to use two verbs, double verbs. So what do you mean by double verbs? So you're not using just the verbs, but you're using also the linking verbs with the verbs. Okay. So and you will use the past participle. Past participle means you have to use the past tense of what is given in the active sentence. So you cannot use the ing form or the normal form. You have to use the past tense using the en or ed or t, which is ending with all these words. The words which end with all en, ed and t are called as past participle verbs. So we have to use such verbs in the passive form of voice. Form of passive voice verbs. So what are the verbs we can use in the passive voice? Let's see. So usually when we are writing, we have to use to be, oftenly called as linking verbs. Like as what are the linking verbs we have is am, is, are, was, were, be, being and been. So all these are linking verbs. So we use these words with the actual verb, the actual action which is already there in the sentence. Now if you see in the previous slide, we have an active voice sentence stating that John baked the bread. So here in the passive voice, we say the bread was baked by John. So here was is a linking verb. So we are using two verbs together. Was is also a verb and baked is also a verb. So we are using two verbs together, so to make the passive voice sentence. Yes. Is that clear, children? Now we can see more examples on this. So here passive, the cookies were eaten by the children. So here the cookies is the subject of the sentence, eaten is the action, you can know. So this were, what is this were? This were is a linking verb. So whenever we are using a passive voice of sentence, we have to use a verb with a linking verb. So this is a linking verb plus we have to use a verb. So this will make a passive voice sentence. So with the same sentence, when you have to say in the active voice, you have to use the object of the sentence, that is the children. The children ate the cookies. Now in the passive voice, the children has become the subject of the sentence and the cookies has become the object of the sentence. Okay, so this ate is the verb. So this is just a verb. This is not the, we are not adding any linking verbs here. Only the verb action word is given over here. Okay, is it clear now in the first example? Now if you see in the second example, the sentence given here is the tunnels. The tunnels are dug by the gropers. So here the tunnels is the subject of the sentence, but the subject is not doing the action. So here the verb is given here and a linking verb is also given here. So the tunnels are dug by the gropers. So gropers here is the object of the sentence. In the active voice sentence, the subject are the gropers who is doing the action. Here only the verb is given, the dug. Okay, the gropers dug the tunnels. Here the tunnels are the object of the sentence. Yes, is that clear now? Yeah, we'll move on to the next slide. So now with this I am very clear with what is active voice and what is passive voice. So now let's practice with few examples. Now let us identify which sentence is active and which sentence is passive. Now in the first sentence you see, Louis made the chocolate cake. So here Louis is doing the action of the sentence. Louis is making the cake. So this type of sentence is the active voice sentence. Now in the second sentence example given here is, the chocolate cake was made by Louis. So here if you see the chocolate cake, is the subject, that is not doing the action. And here again you see two verbs are there. We have one linking verb and we have another action word is there. So the chocolate cake was made by Louis. So if you have two the verbs here, then this type of sentence is called as passive voice sentence. Now in the third example you see, the package was advertised by the travel agent. So here again the package was advertised by the travel agent. So here the action is done by the object, not the subject. So this is again a passive voice sentence. Now 3 examples we have done already now for you. So the rest of the other examples you can do it on your own and send it to me in the group. Now let us see how to change the sentence below to the active voice sentence. Now in this we have, the statue is being visited by hundreds of tourists every year. So here the statue is the subject of the sentence and it is being visited by hundreds of tourists. Now if you have to change it to the this is active voice sentence. Now we have to change this to the active voice sentence. So who is the subject here now? Who is the doer of the action here? Hundreds of tourists. So you will say the answer for this will be, every year hundreds of tourists are visiting the statue. So this will be the active voice sentence for this. Next, my books were stolen by someone yesterday. So one point you have to look here is, whenever you have some words like someone or somebody, some words are there. At that time when you are writing a passive voice sentence, you can omit that particular word. Okay, so here my books were stolen by someone yesterday. So when you write in the active voice, you can write, yesterday someone stolen my books. Okay, so what is the sentence? Yesterday someone stolen my books. So here the verb will be single. Okay, you won't have two verbs. Where stolen was given, now you will say stolen. Next in the, now the next 3 and 4, 5, these 3 examples you can try on your own, and this also you can do it and send it to me in the group. With this we are finished with this. Okay, so I hope you all understood what is active and passive voice by this video. Okay children, thank you, have a nice day.